How do you find your passion? It's not an easy question, but I'm going to give you a few tips. First, to say that if you do manage to find your passion, then it can really guide you through life. If you can find something that you're passionate about, then you're going to just have a better life because you can focus on that passion for a long time. You can make money out of it, you'll be motivated each day, you'll be happier in your relationships with other people, you'll have drive, you'll have ambition, you'll want to keep moving forward, you'll be curious, and you'll ultimately have a more interesting and fulfilling life. So finding your passion is a wonderful thing. And many of us are on the paths to either finding our passion, or if we found our passion, to go even further and to really understand our passion and to master our passion and get better at the thing that we're so passionate about. So I'm going to give you five sort of areas or five questions really that I think if you can think about these things, it might help you discover your passion. So the first one I'd like you to imagine is if you were a billionaire or if you had all the money you could imagine and you didn't have to work, what is it you'd spend your time doing? What is it that you'd like to do? And people might say, well, I'll drink cocktails and float in my swimming pool. And if that's generally what you'd like to do, then that's lovely. But I think probably it isn't. I think probably that after a while you get bored. And so think about what would you do essentially, even if you weren't being paid for it. What would you do even if you had all the money and you didn't need to pay your bills? What is it that you do? What's the thing that would still get you out of bed in the morning to face the day? What is it that you'd really want to focus on? So that's the first one. The second one is, as well as you thinking about what you're passionate about, what do other people say to you that you really seem to care about? What do people notice that you are passionate about? So maybe your passion sometimes might even come across as slightly argumentative. So are there any, topics on which people know, gosh, if you talk to them about that, they're really going to get animated about it. And to you, maybe you're not being argumentative, just you're so passionate. Is there anything that others notice that you really care about? So remember, as always with these sort of questions, although you've got to try to find the answers as they apply to you, doesn't mean you have to do all the thinking yourself. And quite often people will give us feedback about ourselves that we don't really think of. So it's really good to talk to other people. What things you seem passionate about? What are the things that light you up? So ask yourself that question, ask your friends and your family that question. Number three is, what happens when you do things, not just think about them? And what I mean by this is, you might think that you're really passionate about a particular job, but if you actually spent a day experiencing that job, you might hate it. You might have a hobby that, because it's a hobby, you love it, but if you were doing it for a job, you'd hate it. And many people find that, and many people probably make poor business decisions because of that, because there's something they're really passionate about, but it's not really a business idea, or they're not very good at that sort of business. So a classic one, and I'm a fan of Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay, so maybe I think about this one more than most, and also I'm a foodie, I'm very passionate about food, but just because I'm passionate about food doesn't mean I should open a restaurant. I don't know very much about cooking. I love food, I've eaten in a few restaurants, but it doesn't mean I know about cooking. In Kitchen Nightmares, which if you don't know, Gordon Ramsay tries to sort out restaurants that are really sort of doing badly, then in that program, quite often the people are passionate about food and enjoy eating food, but they don't know anything about running a successful restaurant, which is an entirely different matter. So what things can you do to sort of test out? So maybe you'll start a side business alongside your regular job, and you'll see whether your passion is something that you could do day in, day out, not just, so it's not then just some fantasy that you don't really have to put into reality. And actually, many people don't have the opportunity to test out their passions, or rather, sorry, they have the opportunity. They don't give themselves the opportunity. People have some work experience, maybe they're at school, people go for a particular job, or they have a Saturday job, or they have a job just to get in some money, and they think, but I'm really passionate about that. But are you so passionate about something that you could do it as a job? You need to test it out. Two more to go. Number four is, How have you ever thought that the thing that you might be passionate about, the job that's there, might not exist? So are you passionate, for example, about changing something, but actually that particular job and that particular industry doesn't exist at the moment? Is it something that you need to create? So you might be thinking that you'll go on fight, going through life, you're advancing your career, and one day that dream job will fall in your lap because you know you're passionate about a particular area. But maybe it won't, because maybe the area you're most passionate about, nobody is actually doing that thing. Maybe you're the one that needs to do it. So just to give a sort of very off the top of my head example, suppose you particularly care about a certain type of dolphin and you want to conserve that particular type of dolphin, and you think their numbers are becoming endangered. So you think you want to, one day, if you could, become a head of an organisation that supports dolphins. But actually, that organisation mainly supports another type of dolphin that, for whatever reason, you're not so interested in. You're interested in a very particular type of dolphin. Now, it might be that you go into that organisation and you change it and you provide more support for the dolphin you care about. It might mean that you start a different organisation that specifically looks after and conserves and protects that type of dolphin. Whichever it is, you have to think about, is it something that you have to create? Do you have to bring something new into the world in order to fulfill your passion? Or is it a passion that you think you can fulfill through the regular jobs that other people have created and maybe working for other people? And number 5 really is a simple one. It's just, are you aiming high enough? When you're thinking about your passions, when you're thinking about what you could do, are you aiming high enough? Are you trusting yourself? Are you thinking the best of yourself and your abilities? Or are you being too hard on yourself? Are you thinking, well, I could only get that far. We could only make that much change. We only have one life, so aim the highest that you can and ask yourself whether you are aiming the highest that you can. And if you're very hard on yourself, maybe talk to someone else who trusts you and believes in you and see their opinion about the sort of things that you should be aiming for. It'll probably be a lot higher than where you set yourself. So those are 5 things to think about when you're trying to work out what your passion might be. I wish you luck in working out your own passions. I think it will lead to a much more fulfilling and happier life for you. I hope those things have given you some food for thought. If they have, please share this video with other people, and hopefully we can all inspire each other a little bit. Thanks very much for watching.